For 11 days, Iran did absolutely nothing. And that silence might be the most dangerous move of the entire war, because sitting in the open desert of Saudi Arabia were 13 KC-135 Stratotanker refueling aircraft, parked quietly on the tarmac at Prince Sultan Air Base, about 100 kilometers southeast of Riyadh. These weren't ordinary aircraft. These were the gas stations of the entire American air war, the planes that make every long-range strike on Iran physically possible. Satellite imagery had been tracking them since before the war even started. Their exact locations were known. Their numbers were known. The runways they parked on were known. And yet, for 11 straight days, Iran did not fire a single missile at them. That decision is the mystery. Because during those same 11 days, the war around them was exploding. American bombers were hitting 15,000 targets inside Iran. Iranian cluster munitions were landing on Israeli cities. Drone boats were attacking tankers in the Persian Gulf. The region was on fire, but those KC-135 tankers sat untouched on Saudi soil. Iran watched. Iran waited. And then something happened that completely changed the pattern. On day 14, Iran fired 1 missile strike, 1 precise target, Prince Sultan Air Base, 5 KC-135 tankers damaged in a single Iranian missile attack. The story broke through the Wall Street Journal, citing 2 U.S. officials. The aircraft were not flying. They were not maneuvering. They were simply parked, sitting on the ground, inside a country that had officially stayed out of the war, and Iran hit them anyway. No American personnel were killed. The planes are damaged, but repairable. But here's the part that changes the entire strategic picture. In a single week, 7 American aerial refueling aircraft were knocked out of action. 5 hit on the ground in Saudi Arabia. 1 crashed over Iraq. 1 suffered a severe structural incident in a separate event. 7 tankers in 7 days. And that leads to the question Iran wanted everyone to ask. Why wait 11 days? Why not strike them on day 1? The answer reveals how Iran is actually fighting this war. And it's not the answer given in press conferences. Iran did not wait because it couldn't hit those planes. Iran waited because hitting them early was never the plan. The plan was sequential, deliberate, phase by phase. First, demonstrate that a tanker can be hit in the air. That happened over Iraq. A KC-135 crashed, 6 crew members dead. Official cause, still under investigation. Iran's proxy groups immediately claimed responsibility. And suddenly a new question appeared. Are the refueling corridors over Iraq even safe anymore? That uncertainty matters, because uncertainty slows everything down. Then came phase 2. Demonstrate something even more alarming. Tankers are not just vulnerable in the air, they are vulnerable on the ground. 5 aircraft hit simultaneously. In Saudi Arabia, a country that believed hosting American forces meant security protection. But the strike sent a different message. Hosting American forces might actually mean becoming a target. And each phase teaches a lesson. The Iraq crash costs 6 lives and raises doubts about airspace safety. The Saudi strike costs 5 aircraft and forces an immediate response. The U.S. begins evacuating and dispersing tanker fleets from Prince Sultan Air Base, which creates a logistical nightmare, because every single American air mission depends on those tankers. Every fighter, every bomber, every long-range strike. They all need fuel. Without tankers, the air campaign slows. And here's where the story becomes even more interesting. At the Pentagon, the explanation sounded simple. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth stood at the podium, and he said something very direct. War is hell. War is chaos. He repeated it more than once, but Iran is telling a different story, because the pattern doesn't look like chaos. It looks like a schedule. Day 1, 3 F-15 fighter jets lost over Kuwait due to friendly fire from air defenses. Whether accidental or caused by electronic warfare, the result was the same. 3 fighters gone. Then day 13, the tanker crash over Iraq, 6 crew members dead. Then day 14, 5 tankers hit simultaneously in Saudi Arabia. Jets first. Tankers in the air second. Tankers on the ground third. 3 different domains. 3 different types of targets. This sequence is not random. It's a curriculum. Iran is showing the American air campaign exactly where its vulnerabilities are. And it's doing it on a timeline of its own choosing. 11 days of watching. 1 night of striking 5 aircraft simultaneously. That is not chaos. That is patience. And patience might be Iran's most powerful weapon in this war. Because while the losses seem small on paper, the positioning tells a different story. The United States operates around 376 KC-135 tankers and roughly 100 KC-46 Pegasus tankers. A total fleet of over 470 aerial refueling aircraft. Losing 7 in a week is less than 2%. On paper, it barely registers. But fleet size is not the real math. The real math is location. A tanker sitting in Nebraska cannot refuel a fighter over Iran. A tanker sitting in Germany cannot extend the range of Israeli strike packages. The tankers that matter are the ones already positioned forward. And the 5 destroyed at Prince Sultan were exactly those aircraft, already deployed, already integrated into ongoing missions, already fueling real-time strikes. Removing them forces immediate adjustments, new bases, new flight routes, new rendezvous coordinates, new communications channels. Every mission becomes more complicated. None of it is impossible. But every change adds time, fuel, and risk. And that's exactly what Iran wants, because Iran doesn't need to destroy the tanker fleet. It only needs to make operating it expensive and uncertain. Slower operations mean fewer strikes. Fewer strikes mean Iran's infrastructure survives longer. Missile storage sites survive longer. Proxy networks survive longer. Coastal anti-ship missile batteries survive longer. And that leads to the most important strategic lever in this war, the Strait of Hormuz. As long as that strait remains closed or threatened, oil prices rise. Rising oil prices pressure Europe. Pressure in Europe weakens political support for the war, and the economic consequences ripple outward. Bahrain and Saudi Arabia have already canceled Formula One races, not because of sports, but because the region suddenly feels unstable. Banks are evacuating staff. Shipping insurance has tripled. Tanker traffic through the Gulf has slowed dramatically, and the economic costs are spreading far beyond the battlefield. Iran's strategy is not about winning a direct military exchange. It's about making the cost of continuing the war exceed the cost of ending it. And that calculation applies to every country involved, especially Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia never wanted this war. Yet 5 American tankers were just hit on Saudi territory, which means Saudi Arabia is now a target in a conflict it never joined. That raises a dangerous question for Gulf governments. Does hosting American forces make us safer, or does it make us the next target? Iran's strike was calibrated carefully. No Saudi personnel killed, no Saudi infrastructure destroyed, only American aircraft damaged. The message landed, but without triggering an immediate Saudi military response. That level of calibration may be the most sophisticated part of the attack, not the missiles, the message. Because the lesson being written into military strategy right now is very clear. If you want to slow the American air machine, don't shoot the fighters, shoot the gas stations. Fighters are fast, stealthy, hard to intercept. Tankers are large, slow, predictable, and parked on known bases. Iran spent 40 years studying how to survive against American power. And now the strategy is unfolding. Mines in the Strait of Hormuz, drone boats targeting tankers, proxy networks across multiple countries, ballistic missiles with cluster munitions, and precision strikes against logistics nodes. The tankers are those nodes. And the lesson is now visible to every military watching. 5 tankers hit on Saudi soil, 7 lost in 7 days, 11 days of patience before the strike. And the sequence may not be finished yet, because Iran rarely announces what comes next. It simply keeps following the plan. And the next phase may already be unfolding. So what do you think happens next in this escalating strategy? Drop your opinion in the comments. If you found this breakdown valuable, make sure to like the video. Subscribe to Market Mindset for more deep geopolitical and economic analysis. And share this video so more people understand what's really unfolding behind the headlines.